Hello, I'm Jessica Hallett. I'm curator of the Middle East collection here at the Calouste Gulbenkian Museum in Lisbon. I'm a specialist in ceramics, glass, and carpets. I'm delighted to have the chance today to share with you what is really the jewel in the crown of our collection. It's a magnificent silk carpet that you can see behind me, which is known as a small silk Kashan. The city of Kashan in Iran produced carpets, but we're not sure if this carpet was actually produced there or not. But we do know that it was made in 16th century Iran. It's remarkable in every way, for its craftsmanship, for its design, and even for its colors. It's made exclusively of silk in the vertical warp threads, horizontal weft threads, and also in the knots. In every square decimeter, there are some 12,000 knots. So in total, the carpet comprises 5 million knots. That means 5 million gestures of the hand to make it. The person who made it was a highly skilled craftsperson who was not following a grid plan that you see today in many carpet manufacturers, in which each knot is identified with a colored dot on a square of a graph paper, nor was it sung to the weavers. To the contrary, the weavers were actually interpreting a painting. And so if we look more closely, we find that elements that appear to be similar are actually a little bit different, because one weaver interpreted a rosette one way and another weaver in another way. And so here in the center, we can see that this six-petaled rosette is rather vertical in shape, while this one is more horizontal. And this reflects the individual interpretation of the weaver. In the red field, we find numerous animals fighting each other in combat. If we look more closely, we can identify a lion attacking a bull. This is a motif that goes back to Achaemenid times, thousands of years before the carpet was made, and reflects the constellation Leo and Taurus at the time of the equinox. Later in the 16th century, this idea of fighting animals took on other proportions, and we can see here the presence of a tiger attacking a stag, or here a Chinese winged lion attacking a bixie. There's extensive Chinese influence resulting from contacts with China by way of both the Silk Road and maritime route, as well as a result of the Mongol invasions. And if we look closely at the medallion in the center, we can see rising phoenixes in red and gold, with two very large lotus motifs. In the border, we find magnificent spotted pheasants in red and white, and also lotus flowers, another element which has come to Iran by way of the Silk Road. Not only the Chinese elements indicate long-distance contact between Iran and distant parts of the world, but also the magnificent color red. In scientific analysis conducted by a colleague, Ana Serrano, she discovered that the red is actually Mexican cochineal, which has come all the way across the Atlantic to Europe and then been transshipped to Iran. We know from historical sources that the Shah of Iran received cochineal in the 1610s, but this carpet shows that it arrived 60 years earlier, sometime in the middle of the 16th century, and a remarkable indication of the beginning of global trade already at that time. The Portuguese were the first to arrive in Iran by way of the Cape route, and the first to bring carpets in large numbers back to Europe in the 16th century. And the inventories of the Queen of Portugal, Dona Catarina, as well as a duke, the 5th Duke of Braganza, show the presence of these carpets already in the country in the 1550s. And the descriptions indicate the presence of carpets with red fields, medallions in the center, and quarter medallions, just as we have here, and also offer us an indication of their price. And curiously, these carpets were so expensive at the time due to their remarkable, materials and also their decoration, that they were worth the equivalent of 5 paintings. Today, when we go to museums, we think of 16th century Europe as the fine arts being painting and sculpture. But in fact, when we look closer at inventories, we discover that was valued more were textiles and carpets, and tapestries, of course. For Gulbenkian, this carpet was also like a painting, and in his palace in Paris, he actually framed it and presented it vertically on an easel, just like an easel painting. And you can see it here in a photograph of his library. In Iran, the carpet would have been used on the floor, and its beautiful central medallion would have been used possibly to centralize a small throne, or perhaps a very large decorative silk cushion on which the owner would have sat cross-legged. And today, if you come to the Gulbenkian Museum, you will find the rest of Gulbenkian's magnificent collection displayed beautifully on platforms on the floor in the gallery. I hope this short presentation has brought to life a little bit about why Gulbenkian loved this carpet so much. He insisted on buying only the best, and this carpet is indeed the very, very best. In Lisbon, we await your visit and very much look forward to seeing you.